Where did you start with Jiu-Jitsu?
Well, I start in Rio de Janeiro, in Brazil, where everything started, basically. So I live in Jacarepaguá, is in west side of Rio de Janeiro. So I start training there in a small school. My professor Carlos Augusto was his name. And once I decided to take it more serious, I start competing. I had the chance to start training at Gracie Barra Academy with Master Carlos Gracie Jr. And I'm training with him since then. I was 16, so last year I did 40. Don't tell nobody. But so it's already a long journey, long journey.
With who did you train with? I mean, your training partner.
Well, I had the chance to train with great athletes, man. Would not even be fair to mention some of them, but I'm very proud to have the chance to train with Renzo Gracie, for example, George St. Pierre, Ryan Gracie. Man, there are so many guys. Ralph Gracie, Gordo. Oh man, there are many names. If I would name it here, it would be too long. But I'm very proud that I had the chance to train with George St. Pierre for his preparation against BJ Penn. I have a very similar game at that time and body type, so I was used a lot by my teacher to train him. So we trained him for this event, and I'm very proud to participate on his camp. And I had a chance to train with great jiu-jitsu athletes, also like Roger Gracie, I think is the most famous one. He's 10 times world champion. We trained together for many years. As I said, it would not be fair to give you names, but these I think are the most known guys.
Maybe there are some funny stories with the guys you just mentioned.
Oh man, we have a lot of funny stories, you know. I have funny stories of us on the mat. I can try to remember something. Well, I have a friend, I will not say his name, but I remember that when we go to tournaments, usually people get a bit anxious, some guys very nervous. And some of them have different strategies to win the fight. And I was trying to learn how to get better in tournaments. And I always talk to people about what they do to maybe get a better result in the tournament. And I had a friend of mine, he was a tricky guy. And he was always training in the gym in the guard. So he had an amazing guard. And he was known from his guard. And at this competition, he was afraid that he end up on the bottom for some reason. And he wanted to end up on top. The problem that he didn't train takedowns at all. And he didn't train too much on top. But the fact that he didn't want to end up on the bottom. And what he did, that he came to the competition and he said to me, Carlos, can you help me here? Oh, let's do something here. And he took me to the corner, close to the mat, and he started to do what we call in judo, uchikomi. So he started to do like a judo throws, warm up, very hard. And I knew he was a guard player, you know. I was like what is going on here, man? The guy's trying to do throws that I never saw him training that. And the opponents were looking at him, and then he came to me and said, look, I'm just pretending I'm good in takedowns, so they pull guard before me. So I learned a lot of things like this, you know, on the mat. The guys go to the tournaments and they have their own tricks to win, you know. And for me, it was one very funny. So if you guys don't know how to take down and you want to end up on top, there's a good tip, you know. You come to the warm-up area, start to pretend you know how to throw uchikomi. For sure you're going to scare a few of your opponents.
That's a good one for sure. Some more tips for young jiu-jitsu athletes?
Yeah, that was a funny tip, but actually worked for this friend of mine. The guy immediately pulled guard with him. So, well, I think in a tournament, the who win usually, from my point of view and my experience, is the one that wants the most. Because you come in a tournament, that will be a point where both want the same thing. Till the beginning, you both want the same thing. But there will be a point where one of these two guys will give up. It can't be you. You have to force him to give up. At some point, it will be a mental game where he have to think, okay, I have enough. It can never be you. And I had the experience that sometimes I was the guy that said, okay, I have enough of it, you know. So I think that if you want to win a tournament, and I think this extends to life as well, you can never give up, you know, not till the end. So I think it's always a chance for you to win till the last second. And the guys that really want to win, at some point they make it happen. That's the best advice I can give you. If you want to be a champion, prove to your opponent that you want more than him. That's important.
What are your strategies to prepare mentally?
Well, I have some, I have a process I used to call a mental process I do, and it works for me. I don't know for others, but for me it works really good. What I usually do, during my preparation to the tournament, I try to visualize everything that can happen. So I try to imagine myself in every situation possible. So when I finish my routine of training, I meditate a little bit and I try to think about what will happen in the fight. So I imagine myself coming to the stadium, I imagine myself nervous, I imagine myself calming down, stepping on the mats. I try to visualize everything. I imagine my opponent trying movements, and of course I always win, you know. He attack me, I always escape, because at least in my mind I have a feeling I have to win. I have to win, at least in my mind. And the experience I have is that more you visualize things, when you get there, nothing is new, because you're already there, at least mentally. So if you visualize all the possibilities, when your opponent put the hands on you, you say, okay, this already happened. It's nothing new for you. So you're kind of mentally prepared. Maybe not physically, because it's just happened, but mentally, that was nothing new, and it helped me a lot. I usually call this the first phase, the visualization, so I try to think about that. And I do it till one day before the event, because I used to be very nervous one night before and I didn't sleep. When I was younger, I never sleep one night before. I was the whole night thinking. And after experience, I realized that that night I can't think about jiu-jitsu. So I visualize till 1 or 2 nights before. And in the day before the competition, I go to the second phase, where I don't think about jiu-jitsu. Everything I could do, I did. So I put a movie I like, I call friends I like, I do everything I can do that is not related to jiu-jitsu. I play something, music, whatever, that take me away from that, because what I could do, I did. It's not a moment to think about this. And then I go into a third phase when I wake up on the day of the fight. In this phase, I think is a very important phase, is the phase where I start to think about jiu-jitsu, but not about techniques. I start to think about how much I love jiu-jitsu. You know, I try to put in my mind all the things I sacrificed to be there. You know, I start to remember that I go every day to the gym. Nobody push me, nobody force me. I do that because I love. So that is just one more day that I have the chance to do what I love. And this usually calm me down a lot, excite me to do it, make me really positive, because I'm there to do what I love. I don't think about the crowd, I don't think about the opponent. I just think about my passion to jiu-jitsu. So I keep my mind positive. I end up in the stadium laughing, smiling, because I'm so happy. I try to think about the privilege of do what I love. That so many people would like to do that. I can do what I love every day, you know. So I try to keep this in my mind. When I step, not only when I step on the mat, but when I wake up on the day of the event, I think, I love jiu-jitsu. Today is one more day to do this. So that's my mental process. And once I step on the mat, I'm totally calm. So it works for me. That's how I do it.
Now you are a coach with a good and great team. What do you tell your competitors before going to the mat, before the day before the tournament?
This go from fighter to fighter, you know. Uh, from my experience as a coach, I cannot pass to them what I live as a fighter because my experience as an athlete, as a fighter, was different than their experience. Their personal experience is different in life, in everything. So some guys, they need to be pushed. They need to be, they need that you push them, that you put them up, that you pump them up. Other guys, they just want them that you leave them alone. And you know, some guys, they need to be, you know, a little more than pushed. You need to put them down. Like you're not good for that. You're not ready. You, this is very personal. But you need to know your students really good to do that because you can fail. Maybe a guy that needs to be pumped, you put him down, you did a mistake. You did a bad work as a coach. So what I try to do is to know my student as person, to know them, how they live, how they are, how they see life. So usually with years together, we start to find out. So most of my students, I just tell them how I do my mental preparation. For some of them it works. And when we come there, I come down, look, do what you know. Feel free, do what you know. But I'm telling you that because I know some students, they expect you to, let's go, man, come on. And the others, they come and say, look, please don't yell on me. I don't work like this. So it's a lot about the sensibility of the coach, I think. Every person is different.
Talking about being a good coach, you also mentioned today the invisible jiu-jitsu, and you were going more into details. Could you explain this, please, again?
Yeah, okay. Well, today we have, it was the first meeting with most of them, so I usually try to explain people my point of view of things. I don't try in seminars to share much of complicated things, advanced movements, things that people can't do. I try to show something and work on the concept behind. I try to work more on the something that people will keep in their mind and will help them to the blackboard even more. One of the things that I try to organize to teach people in my classes, because when I came to Europe, many places I go to teach, there was no jiu-jitsu. So I had to teach. It's totally different than teaching in Brazil, where people, at least some family member know jiu-jitsu. So you say an armbar, people know. You say what is a takedown, people know. They expect you to explain something more advanced. But when you come a place, people don't know what is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The approach is totally different. And I start to study more, and I create, I don't like to say I create, but I develop a way to teach where I explain the tripod, what I consider the main point of the guard battle. So I usually explain like this: if there is a battle in a guard, so a top player against guard player, one trying to pass and the other trying to attack from the bottom, we usually have what I call the tripod that hold the whole system. That is based on control, balance, and pressure. So control, balance, and pressure. These are the three basic elements on this battle. And to win this battle, you need to know how to control these 3 points. You need to be the person that have the control, the balance in your hands, and pressure. How these 3 elements, how you can express these elements in a fight. The control is expressed by the grips, so the way you hold, usually using your hands for that. The pressure, if you're doing guard, you're going to use your legs to avoid his pressure. So if you're able to use your legs to avoid pressure and your hands to control, you just have another point that is the balance, usually related with posture. So if you're able to control him, to keep him away, avoiding his pressure, it's just about how you will unbalance him. And I usually explain to people these three elements expressed like this. The control is expressed by grips. The balance you express by your posture. So if you're on top, you want balance. We say in Brazil, postura, né? So if you have a good posture, usually you have good balance. And the third element is pressure, that most of people forget. You pass the guard, they are able to do nice movements, but they forget to smash, to keep position and put pressure. So the pressure is represented by the weight distribution, the way you can put your weight. So if you don't know how to put your weight on your opponent, you will not be able to put pressure. Pressure is not only go on him, but how you distribute your weight, right? So I usually explain to people this tripod like a control expressed by grips, pressure expressed by weight distribution, and balance that is expressed by the posture. So usually people like it a lot because it's much easier to understand the things we do. When you see a De La Riva stance, for example, when the legs are round and the grips, it's hard for a person that don't know jiu-jitsu to realize what's going on. So I usually explain them this way. You have the controls by hands, you avoid pressure with your legs, and then it's just about unbalance him. And then I explain how to break the posture. I usually try to go this way. That's it.
Is there some more wisdom about coaching, training, jiu-jitsu?
Oh man, wisdom, it's hard to say like something. I'm so young, nah, to give a wisdom to people, but I think about jiu-jitsu is about passion. It's, people don't realize you need to love the sport to be good. Many people will do jiu-jitsu, but to be good in jiu-jitsu, you need to love it. Like other things in your life, I think you need to give yourself. I see nowadays people want to be a coach because they want to live from jiu-jitsu, what is legit. But I think to live from jiu-jitsu, you first don't have to live for jiu-jitsu. So if there is a wisdom, I would say that if you want to live from jiu-jitsu, first you need to live for jiu-jitsu, and then it might can happen.
I just recognized you have a Mitsuno belt, obi, like they say in Japan. Oh, why is that?
Yeah, this belt was a gift. Actually, one student of mine, he went to Japan, and he brought this black belt from Mizuno. What was it was an honor. I like. It's a great belt, and it was a great friend of mine. And another friend put the red bar, put the jiu-jitsu written, so it's something made. They have my name here. Nothing special.
Because I never saw a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt from Mitsuno.
Yes, it's kind of made. It's kind of, it's something made up. Like I said, that was a gift from one friend. The letter's gift from another. It's one of my belts. I don't have only this one. I have others too. So
Are you also training judo, or did you train judo?
I had a chance to train judo with friends. A lot of friends are judo black belts. So yeah, they used to throw me a lot. But I was never into judo as a student. I usually had a chance to, of course, as a student, but with friends. I never did a proper training the way you should do. All my experiences from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But of course, I'm teaching for so many years. I started teaching when I was 18. So I'm almost whole life teaching Jiu-Jitsu. And in this process, a lot of black belts come to train with me, national team fighters, people that really dedicate their life to judo. And when I have a chance, I take them to the side and please show me something that I try to do this with every martial art, Even those that I have some resistance, I try to learn something. It helps me a lot. Helps me in jiu-jitsu, in life. Yeah, you cannot be narrow mind. You have to be an open mind, I think.
Do you want to mention something else for yourself?
If I can talk about our camp in Skradin, it's great. So every year I do camp in Skradin, Croatia. So I would like to invite you guys. And everybody's welcome from every club. We have a lot of guys already signed up. But that's it. I would like to invite you and all of you guys. Cool? Take care, man. That's it. Awesome.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay, so let's see an armbar from side control. We start with side control, mount and submit. All right, let's go. So here we go. We're gonna watch in full speed and then we see the details, right? So here we are. All right. So what we do here, guys? The idea is to submit with the armbar, but keep the arms isolated, right? You don't want to end up in that situation when the guy is struggling to skate. Try to keep the arms isolated. So what we're gonna do? Start with side control. Open the first arm like this. One step, really forward. And then we're gonna open the second arm with this grip. This control here. So we go deeper and control your forearm. We go to the mount, already to the S mount. So we go all the way here, all the way. Make sure that you keep his head up. So you're here and you switch. The other arm is coming to the armpit. So now he can't grab and defend. We trap one arm, keep the head control, what will make the bridge and hip skate much harder. And in the end, we let it go the head, sit on him, leg in front of the face to finish like this, right? So we have arms isolated in a nice submission here. Okay, last one, let's see. Start here, open, control, keep going. Now here, important, switch so you can trap the arm, very important. Keep rotating, rotating. You don't need the arm yet. Now, let it go. This is very easy movement if you're seated on him. Sit, and you finish with the arm bar here. That's it.
That was better.
All right.